Alright. Hi, I'm Micaela, and this is my Do-It-Yourself and Report It Home Energy Audit for BBE 1201. First, to provide energy context, I am currently living in a dorm at the U of M with 2 other students, and the average square footage of a triple in my residential hall is 244 square feet. Our major appliances are a mini fridge and a microwave, and we don't have air conditioning, so at this point in the year, temperature control isn't a factor in our energy usage. To provide some background on a broader scale, in the United States, the energy use intensity ranges from less than 40 to more than 600 kilobtu per square foot across all dormitories. So energy use intensity, or EUI, is a measure of a building's energy efficiency calculated by dividing its total annually energy usage by its total floor area. So the median EUI for residence halls in the U.S. is 127 kilobtu per square foot. So if I was measuring specifically for a triple in Sanford, which, like I said, was 244 square feet, it would use 30,988 kilobtu annually, or approximately 757 kilowatt hours monthly. Here's a comparison for the wattages of my non-light sources measured. In particular, the wattages researched for the fan, phone charger, and Apple Watch charger were higher than the averages I measured, but the rest of the items were relatively close. And then here's a closer look at all of the devices that I measured. Out of those devices, the fan and Apple Watch charger were measured as constant power devices. To measure these items, I plugged them into the meter and recorded on watts when the device is on and when it's off. For example, my fan measured using 23.9 watts when on and 0 watts when off, and it was on about 7 hours a day, so to get watt hours I multiply the two to get approximately 179 watt hours a day. The iPhone charger, microwave, and fridge and flat iron were measured as variable power devices, with the flat iron having a specific cycle. To measure variable power devices, I'll use my iPhone charger as an example. I plugged it into the meter for the typical time it would be charging in a day, which is approximately 8 to 10 hours, and my overall reading ended up being 0.02 kilowatt hours. I then divided my total kilowatt hours by the amount of time it was plugged in, which was 9.67 hours, and I get about 0.0021 kilowatts, or 2.07 watts when on. I used my phone charger for an average of about 8.1 hours a day, so the average watt hours per day was about 16.7. Like I said, my flat iron was measured on a cycle, so I measured it on kilowatt hours for the typical time I would use it, and then I multiplied by how many cycles that week, which was 3, and divided it by 7 to get about 5.1 watt hours a day. The overhead light and the lamp were measured as light sources. I had to assume that my overhead dorm light was 20 watts given that I don't have access to it. Then the lamp is an LED light that is 1.9 watts. For my calculation example, I used the overhead light, which was on for an average of about 6 hours a day, and I multiplied this by the watts and got around 120 watt hours a day. Now, here is my daily time log for 1 week of my device usage. My roommates kept track of their use of our shared appliances, such as the overhead light and the microwave, by writing it down on a sheet of paper we taped on our door, and then I would put it in manually to my spreadsheet. Then here is my data table for my collected energy use. My highest energy user was the mini fridge, which was expected because it's on 24 hours a day, and my lowest energy user was my Apple Watch charger. Initially, I was surprised to find that my fan consumed more energy than my overhead light in my dorm, but realistically it does make sense considering my dorm doesn't have air conditioning, so the fan's going on pretty regularly, and the wattage is higher. My total energy consumption ended up being significantly lower than my estimate from before, being 28.3 kilowatt hours a month compared to the estimated 757 kilowatt hours a month. This is most likely due to the fact that we don't have many major energy users in the dorm, and I only measured the energy consumption of 8 devices, which there are definitely more than those 8 that contribute to my total energy consumption. Now, for potential improvements or efforts to reduce my overall energy consumption, a great place to start would be unplugging my fan at night which was my second largest energy user. This way I could save 136 watt hours a day or reduce my energy usage by 15%. Here are my references, and thank you.